Welcome to G4G here on YouTube. Today we are taking a look at the most recent update to Marvel Future Fight. I can't really call it the Apocalypse update because we've been calling a lot of these the Apocalypse update recently, but fuck, let's do it again. Let's call it the Apocalypse update because there's no really other good word for it. So, trying to think. Can't say the limited event update because there's 2 events going on. The double event update, maybe? Could call it that. Double event update. Yeah, okay, we'll do that because the last ones have been the Apocalypse. Yeah, okay, cool. We'll call this one the double event update. So, before I get into that, yay, finally level 70. Thrilled. Didn't even know it happened. People have been celebrating their level 70s, and like mine just happened somewhere. I just looked up one day. It was like, hey, I was like 69. What the? Oh, well, shit. I'm 70 and didn't even notice it. It's like when your odometer hits all 6s or it flips over and you're not even aware of it. But yeah, so that happened. And here's what's going on with my T2s. Wolverine converted to a uniform. Cyclops converted to a uniform. Rogue is a recent T2. Beast is very, very close. He has just a few. That's what he has left over there. Been working on Quicksilver, got him to 50, add 5 stars. I T2'd Hobo Spider-Man recently, just because I wanted to be a dick too, in PvP. It's like, yes, I too have a T2 Spider-Man, yes, I'm going to shut everything down, haha. I was gonna T2 him anyway, but that was sort of giving into the pressure of timeline battles and how obnoxious he is in there with the perma-web, even against other characters. Mantis is getting up there too. She's probably going to be a T2 sometime soon. She's up to 333. Alright, so let's jump into the update over here. So, limited event number 1. We've seen this somewhat recently within the last, what was it, 2 or 3 months. It's the gold spending update. So, a lot of people sometimes get confused about this event. They think that they look at this and they have to spend the money that it mentions. There is a very easy way to do this event, and that is just simply play the game and do the things that you're supposed to do every single day, especially with the new dailies that we have, which often draws you into actually spending money, like ISO enhancements, ISO combines, obelisk enhancements, and everything like that. So you don't have to think of it as, gee, I need to spend all this money and look at these rewards I get. Some of them look like shit. No, it's not like that. First of all, 100 bios is pretty solid, and 30 BAMs for not doing a boss is also really good. So, really what this thing is it's kind of like when you see the commercials that say, we will pay you to shop online. And you're like, man, I'm going to shop online anyway, so why don't I get in on that coupon or like whatever it is. That's really what the event is. It's like, you're going to be spending gold anyway. Why not get bonuses for it when you hit your different thresholds? I mean, if you're in an alliance, donating $1 million per day is an incredibly easy thing to do. Also, another thing is a lot of the dailies get you into spending money. So it's not like you really have to go out of your way to go through this event. Like earlier today, me taking Quicksilver up from 45 to 50, or rather he was maybe like 47 and a half, but making the black antimatter to get him up there and past the 50 threshold actually is what contributed a lot to having that quest done. So it was making the rank 5 black antimatter that was really creating a lot of money expenditure over here. And that's what did it. Plus the, you know, the 1 million a day for the Alliance and everything like that. It's cake. We've seen it before. It's not hard to do, and don't get upset about it. So the other event quest we have actually isn't that good. It's just, again, kind of standard stuff. And because of the changes to dailies, a lot of these do line up with the kind of chaotic dailies that we have lately. So here's what's in the event shop right now. It's basically upgrade material. It's nothing crazy like when a new character's coming out and you do the event quest and then the story goes live and you get the character, something like that. It's just basically a way for you to get upgrade materials that you might need. Now, if the event has any value to you, it's going to be defined by you. This event in and of itself doesn't have an inherent value because it's not like you're going for a new hero or something. It's whether or not these items for sale have value to you. So the boost points, the experience chips, hidden tickets. Actually, I think I will snag some of those because the Dorm quest. I truly believe where this event is really going to get value is the black antimatter. However, 80 for 100, a little steep, but the XMen materials up here, I feel like it's very easy to get them in the game right now, so I don't find them to be high value, honestly. I think to me, it's the BAM and the hidden tickets that are going to mean more than anything. And, you know, keeping your boost points high. So, that's where I stand on this. So, this is an event that you can choose to do or not do based on whether or not the materials matter to you. You could sit there and say, hey, you know, this is basically a freebie. Why not? And you certainly would be in the right to do something like that. So even if that shop doesn't really give you the most amount of things that are interesting, you could still do it. Because, I mean, dimension rifts can be used to feed into the card dailies. Special missions show up, however, typically the special missions only have you doing, or the daily only has you doing one special. Here it has you doing 10. But that could feed into the obelisk daily. Story missions times 10, that's particularly easy. Timeline battle times 5. Commonplace, we've seen this before. We often have to do 1 or 2 or 3, I forget how much it is, for the random dailies. So, I mean, this one's not particularly awful. The restrictions right now are not particularly awful. This isn't too bad. Now, World Boss times 3. This actually happens to coincide with one of my dailies of a World Boss times 1. Again, this one is not necessarily bad because it is lining up with the new dailies of having to do World Bosses. And what's good is the fact that for the World Bosses, it's not like you're going to get forced to do a 1 or a 3 on Infinity Thanos Day, where maybe you only have one valid team that can actually get through it. So that's pretty cool. With you having this list available over here, I mean, you could do 3 Quicksilvers if you want. You could do 3 Cables. You could do 1-1-1. I mean, it's certainly all up to you. And if you don't particularly want to tangle with the X-Men, you're certainly welcome to fight through any of these world bosses that you choose. So it's not like you have to sit there and fear the, having to do a world boss daily on Infinity Thanos Day and be like, oh shit, really? So that's pretty good. Alright, so Scarlet Witch got another notch for her. So now, in case you... Wow, I'm actually relatively close over there. Wow, I've really cut down my Scarlet Witch cost over here. I'm probably going to... I might not skip the comic card one. Because as long as I have to do these 10 dimension rifts a day... Power of the Cards number 5 is actually quite achievable. That's not particularly too bad. I think I will hold off on that one. I'm 4 away from going rogue times 75. I probably... Let's see. I might go all the way on that one too. So there was a certain number of challenges here that I thought, oh, I'm going to pay and skip those. Because I really thought 100 cards was going to be slightly out of reach. I thought 100 going rogues for a rogue who's already T2 probably could have been out of reach. But now I don't think so. Certainly number 4 is going to be accessible. Cards I don't think will be that bad. Cable stage in 15 seconds, yeah, that's probably going to get skipped. I'm probably not going to wait for a 5-star mastery, and maybe I will be clearing the cable stage with Quicksilver as part of the party. Maybe. Actually could probably be working on this now if he isn't the one that has to be active at the time. Now, Apocalypse, he's going to cost 15k. It doesn't look like I've made some progress over here, clearing world boss with more than 50% hit points times 20. That's certainly doable. Most of my characters that do world bosses tend to be invincible or healing themselves. So we'll actually take a look at his abilities coming up now. So as you can see, we have the limited event, we have the event quest, and we still have the new native tier 2 X-Men going on, and all the quests to get through that particular chain over there. So let us take a look at Apocalypse and take a look at his abilities over here, which I've already done once. They're kind of fun. Alright, so, taking a look at what we've got. We've got the big suck-in orb move over here. So here are his standards. He has a, as you can see, has a little bit of a ground line. Now, it seems to be a bit of a jostle, but it doesn't seem to be a stun as far as I can tell. And it looks like... I thought maybe when you retargeted, you were going to get that little crater slam. Let's see. Yeah, I can't seem to specifically duplicate that crater slam that he did twice. So then you have the ball ability, which seems to do 2 debuffs, and we'll take a look at that. We have a bit of a teleportation. Oh, there's the crater again. This is an iframe over here. Kind of like partial Quicksilver, partial Captain Marvel. No iframe on the balls, but I mean, they are certainly pretty. They look like they'd be damaging as hell. Alright, let's get him back into the field over here. His 2. No iframe, but it seems like he telekinetically lifts people behind him, and then he goes to town on whoever's in front of him. So a little bit of a Darth Vader choke slam over here. It's kind of interesting in the fact that when he uses this, it seems like he's mostly favoring people at very odd angles. His 4 is Giant Fists from Hell. He gets a bit of an iframe in the beginning, and then of course he's off screen for the rest of it. So that is essentially an iframe. 75% chance for damage immunity over there. And then his 5 has a huge iframe and drops these obelisks down that essentially act as turrets. And they persist for quite a long time. So, chances are, very set it and forget it. Put them down, run around. It's kind of like having Loki clones and Ultron clones and everything. Drop those, and then go into a giant fist. Probably just sheer meltage in terms of DPS over there. We put the AI on. So they'll pause on the 5 and they take a stun afterwards. There's another game that has very similar colored balls to this blue, and I'm having trouble placing it, but I could swear I've seen such a similar graphic before, but I think it was purple. And I'm trying to remember, you had to like dodge them, or... Yeah, I'm having trouble thinking of what this reminds me of. I don't think it's World of Warcraft, but it absolutely could be. There are some guns in Borderlands 2 that shoot. The Norfleet has balls that look like that, but it's not that. It's the balls coming in and protecting somebody, or acting as kind of like a shield around them is what I'm thinking of, but I'm not placing it for some particular reason. Oh, what was that? Yes, no, actually it is World of Warcraft. It is one of the bosses in the new Terezin. Yeah, it's the big shadow balls that the final boss in the new Terezin does for Upper Terezin. So, let's take a look at the abilities over here. So his leadership increases attack, defense, and speed by amounts. A passive of decreases all damage received by 25%. Super armor, all defense. Omnipotence applies to self. Ignores target dodge rate by 50%. Skill damage up. Bonus damage up. His beam applies to enemies. Bleed damage. That's a little weird, considering it's an energy attack, but okay. There's that uppercut-looking ability. Straight energy damage. Here's the balls, impending doom. Removes all buffs from the target, applies to self, all attacks up, energy damage, additional energy damage, all speeds and everything. 15-second cooldown, but this looks like this is going to be one of your leading items for the buff. However, it's something you may want to hold back if you expect targets to get buffed in some way, shape, or form. Catch them in giant balls, and you'll be good. So this one's a little schizophrenic. You may want to open it up and keep it off cooldown as much as possible for the buff. However, you may want to use it only when you expect a buff to show up. Fist of Judgment, 75% chance for immunity to all damage, energy damage. And Fear Fragment, so this was his 5, applies to enemy, stun applies to self, hit point recovery, and illusions. So this is God tier right here with Fear Fragment. It's absolutely ridiculous. Alright, now we'll take a look at the uniforms that we got over here. So Rogue got Age of Apocalypse. You don't see too much mention of this particular outfit. I don't even know that Marvel Heroes has even dealt with it, to be honest. And they've pretty much dealt with absolutely tons of uniforms for everybody. So it looks like her first upgrade is going to be Civil War Captain America, which I don't own. Womp womp. Kind of sad. I don't know that I would use Rogue enough to care right now to upgrade it. I find during Speed Day she definitely scores, at least in my opinion, before the uniform she was scoring lower than Kid Kaiju, which is the big Speed King right now. Elsa, Kid Kaiju, and I believe Speed Wong is what a lot of people do. It's what I do. I try to team them up with Amadeus Cho a lot, but if it's just Speed Day, I give them Speed Wong. So the other outfit we've got is Age of Apocalypse Wolverine. This is one that I was certainly concerned with when I knew he was going to get a uniform. I was like, he's easily the best combat hero in the game. If they give him a uniform, it might turn a already OP character into ridiculous OP. It turns out his uniform is actually very mild. It doesn't really do a whole lot, but interestingly enough, it adds this Omega Cannon, which even though it says physical damage, I do believe it might actually be counting as energy. I've used this on world bosses that like to have their enrage popped by energy, and I could swear it actually worked. It says Berserker Rage is changed. I'm not exactly too sure what's changed about it. And unfortunately, it looks like another Civil War costume is the upgrade for it. Oops. I forgot about that. Damn. So I admit to a mistake over there. I happened to get the Mythic uniform upgrade ticket that is in the store right now. And it's not going to work on him. And that's who I was going to consider putting it on. Looks like I'll have to get Captain America, Civil War, Iron Man over here so that I can begin upgrading him. So yeah, his applies to self, decreases all damage received by 50%. He's already a fairly invincible person to begin with. Now he's really even slightly more invincible with the decrease in damage. What that means is if you were running any kind of a recovery rate obelisk for him, maybe because he's just not as powerful for you, you don't have him kitted out or your cards aren't that good, you could actually push him into having a more offensive obelisk now and let that decrease in damage do kind of the work. Yes, he will actually pop a claw out of the missing hand over here, by the way. We also have LOreal Cyclops over here. As somebody did a little mean picture of it has to be L'Oreal, and that hair is just so ridiculously perfect, you can't help but think it. On his uniform, he has a couple things changed over here. His ambient radiation is bumped up and applies to all allies, 15% energy attack. So that's pretty solid over there. He is available for a ticket because he's not a native T2. But I'm not going to burn a mythic ticket on him. However, I can go ahead and upgrade him thanks to Thor Unworthy. So at least he's going to be able to get a old-fashioned manual upgrade. So some of the teams I've been liking now, I like doing Magneto, Cyclops, and Wiccan. However, Cyclops is kind of at the point where he could stand alone and be his own person without just feeding Magneto a buff. Mostly because his beam ability that doesn't go away unless you touch things is ridiculously strong. But, you know, when you're using, you know, world bosses, when they like to go in their cutscenes, that will cut off the beam. And you will have to reapply it. I like to do Beast leading Wolverine and Moon Girl for that one. There's other team-ups for Wolverine, but Moon Girl is never really used by anybody else, so I like to throw her Wolverine's way. Thanos, Corvus, and Proxima is another one I like to use. I do the symbiotes fairly often of Carnage, Anti-Venom, and Agent Venom. We've already discussed the Speed team, Elsa leading Kid Kaiju and Speed Wong, with Kid Kaiju doing all the work. Hobo Spider-Man. I often do a interesting team up with Sandman. So Sandman is definitely capable of being your main guy when it comes to DPSing world bosses. And I have him team up with, I think it's Spider-Man and Captain America is the team, which is pretty solid. Sharon, she's mythic for me. She's still the absolute workhorse when anything really needs to be done. Blast Day or Unrestricted Day, she's usually the one that gets called on. Although Wolverine does give her quite a run for the money. Looking forward to getting Quicksilver to the point where I use him. Loki is a suggested person in PvP right now, so he's on my team a little bit. His shields and clones help him, but he pretty much gets demolished now in PvP. And my up-and-coming T2s, Beast is going to be next, and then obviously Storm to get Jean at least unlocked, although I think I'll be working on Quicksilver first. After Quicksilver, I'm going to have some interesting decisions. I can either go for Hobo Thanos, I can go for Cable. I should have Normal on a Ding Dong by that point. As a matter of fact, let me check on just how close. So I've got 32 hidden tickets. And as you can see, War of the Kings was completed. So I just need 13 more routes, and then that's it for having Dormammu unlocked. I actually should focus on that. I'll probably have that tomorrow, is my guess. I could probably get 13 in before the timer goes up. Clearing a hidden route 300 times, though, or 350, probably not going to happen. Getting 4 stars Dormammu's 50s should be relatively easy. 6 star for Inferno shouldn't be particularly tough. And then that leaves me with just a few over here. And these actually seem a little bit more tangible and reachable over here. But it's going to be kind of a tough call for who I'm going to go with after Quicksilver. The field certainly has some very powerful players to dive into. Of course, Phoenix is an absolute bitch when it comes to AC and timeline battles and everything. She's kind of the go-to major annoyance. We also have a Civil War type event going on over here right now. I wasn't forced into one. I picked anti-registration because that's actually where my views would line up if I was faced with that. And at least for me, we seem to be winning somewhat slightly. So there you go, guys. That's what we've got going on for the double event, as we decided. The double event update over here. Probably one of the most fun periods in the game. And it's cool having Scarlet Witch and Cable and Quicksilver around. It's nice that all the world bosses are open up to fight in any particular day. I gotta ask though, is there any benefit to doing the golden bordered boss on that day? So if the golden border's around Proxima, is there any kind of extra thing if you focus on Proxima that day as compared to going to somebody else? I'm kind of curious, so if you guys happen to know that, let me know. But hey, thanks for checking out the video, everybody. I will catch you guys later.